You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. It's The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you here on a Monday, our last Monday show of 2025, Matt. And unfortunately, it's kind of a crappy one. I mean, it's going to be a depressing one as the Steelers fall to the Browns 13-6 yesterday in Cleveland. It's been about 24 hours, and I'm still shocked. I'm still surprised. I can't believe it. I know that this is what's happened 4 straight times that they've gone to Cleveland now and against bad quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, all kinds of reasons to win that don't end up transpiring. But this one felt a little bit bigger of a gut punch, I think.
Yes and no. I might cheer you up a little.
Okay, cheer me up a little bit.
Mike Pursuta cheered me up a little on a show that's going to air later. I urge everyone to check it out on DVD tonight. We do it with Rob King, and we'll talk to him here, next segment, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I can't say this enough, and I hope in the YouTube comments or on Twitter people say, Matt, you should have even brought it up more. It's a game they got to win. It's a game you got to win. I'm going to say it 1,000,000 times. It's a game you got to win. Now, what Mike mentioned that I thought was interesting is, guys, you didn't lose the AFC North. Everything's still there. What you lost is the opportunity for rest. Which is huge. Now, a team this age that has had the earliest bye week of the season really could have used the rest and the certainty that, now you're preparing for playoffs, you're not preparing for the Ravens. But it's not over. And he looked at it as a fan like, man, what's better than a playoff game in Week 18 against the Birdies in your building? That's great, and I know the Ravens are coming off a win, and they look like the better team at the moment. But this loss, just in terms of execution and watching play after play, didn't feel like the Bills. I just felt like the Steelers left some opportunities on the field.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The weighty downs, the heavy situational moments.
Exactly.
They probably lost 75% of them.
In a big way, and that was the difference. And what you knew was going to be a close game in a place you don't have a lot of success, and you didn't have all your horses. Now, not having Metcalf and to a lesser degree, Austin, and losing Washington, all mattered a great deal. A great deal.
Huge.
I mean, huge. I mean, they've no man beaters. I mean, and they're going to see the exact same defense. Why would they not run that back? But they lost Fannin after he scored a touchdown. He's their leading receiver. They didn't have Judkins, who's the guy they want to give the ball to over and over. No one's going to cry for your injuries at this point. That's just how the league's going. But a couple things stood out to me. When we started that show, Matt, what were your big takeaways? Early defense was terrible. I mean, real problem.
That's something you talked about last week.
And that's kind of a Browns strength. Now, I'm not a coaching staff, but you knew this team and Sanders is at their best with the scripted stuff and the Stefanski stuff and the designer stuff. But you were too soft on them. The middle of the field zone openings were massive. You didn't disrupt Sanders enough. And after that, you put the clamps on there. I mean, the defense played well enough to win.
They did. In hindsight, it's easy to say, but all that was missing from the defense was a pick six or a scoop six, or Sawyer takes that one to the house, or Herbig holds on to that one.
Really, all was missing from the whole game is a touchdown of any sort.
Yes, because the defense gave up field goal, touchdown on the Browns' first 2 drives.
Yeah, and that wasn't good enough.
And then after that, really didn't give up a scoring drive though, because the last field goal was you handed them the ball and they went 3 and out and kicked the field goal from around your red zone area, right in that 20 to 30 range. I will push back a little bit on the optimism though, and everything is still in front of you.
We dressed the same today.
Oh, wow. All right, hold on. Let the record show that I don't
know why. It used to make Dale crazy if we'd happen to wear the same polo. Not like we ever asked, but
since you and I got back from training camp in mid-August, late August timeframe, I've been waiting for this day to happen.
It's bound to happen. There's only so many to pick from.
It hasn't happened. I'm surprised, honestly. We made it 3 or 4 months to this, to September to October to November. It took us 4 months before we wore the same polo here today. Oh,
I didn't mean to
man.
distract you, but it's the first time I
I'm
noticed.
glad you mentioned that because every day I'm like, I wonder if Matt's going to wear this one.
We're not ever setting it up.
While
by
I
the
pick
way.
between my 8 or 9 different
two
Steelers
girls going
polos.
to 8th grade together wearing the same outfit. Right?
We just showed up to the 7th grade dance wearing the same dress.
Dude,
oh, no.
that happened to me. Homecoming. Me and 4 buds, we went to homecoming. There's no internet back then.
Sure.
You know, right?
No cell phones.
And so our best buds, we all went. And the girls all knew each other, but they weren't a group. They were all our dates.
Gotcha.
My date and my buddy Murray's date had the exact same dress on.
That's fantastic.
I mean, 2 dudes wouldn't care. Like, I got the same suit.
Sure.
You know, but they were like,
the girls were
they
devastated.
were horrified.
Yeah.
Right. They're at dinner together, dressed the same. Yeah, that actually happened.
That's hysterical.
Lighten the mood here after this loss.
That's exactly right. I did need that laugh. Now I'm feeling a little bit better. Everything is still in front of them. They still have the division title to play for, the home playoff game, all that. And it's another continuing chapter of this league this year has been such a week-to-week proposition, and especially this Pittsburgh Steelers team. They could beat the Ravens 28-10.
That's in the cards.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, maybe with some of their limitations that they obviously have on offense with no number 1 and no number 2 wide receiver aside.
They don't.
And now no Darnell Washington either. We got to get to that.
They really
more
have no
at some
legitimate
point.
starting wide receivers.
No.
I'm not even sure Austin is one, but it'd been nice to have him.
So where my optimism was going into this game is you take care of business, you win the division, you get to rest, and that you touched on it briefly.
And
but
you get Metcalf back for the playoff game, and
that to me was what separated this 2025 Steelers team from the last 3 or 4.
Yeah. You don't limp into the playoffs.
The last 3 or 4 limped into the playoffs and just barely got there and was already on their last leg and didn't have much. They kind of squeezed all the juice out just to get into the dance.
And by halftime in the wild card round, you're like, this is over.
This year, it looked like they're going to be able to go into Week 18, have a 1 o'clock home kickoff, put their feet up, rest all those Super Bowl champion, all-pro, future Hall of Famers that they have that are on the other side of 30 or maybe even on the other side of 40 in the case of the quarterback, who once again was on the sideline messing with his wrist in Cleveland.
One of which has a punctured lung.
So again, like, that's the bigger. Yes, they can still win the division. They can still beat the Ravens. And by the time we get to Thursday or Friday, I'm sure I'll be singing a different tune. But for me, what really sucks about yesterday is it felt like you had finally turned a corner.
Yeah. You won 3 in a row.
When in reality, it was just a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Right.
Like, and that's the most frustrating part to me is even if they beat the Ravens and get into the playoffs, it's not going to feel the same as if you would have had a week buffer to rest, to prepare, to put your feet up, to get your veterans a little more juice heading into the postseason. That's the real missed opportunity of yesterday, and that's what, again, makes it feel more like a cul-de-sac than turning a corner.
And this is maybe a little pie in the sky, but couldn't you have been the Patriots that just destroyed the Jets? In a division game
on the road,
when you're a better team, you're the playoff team, they're the team picking in the top 5, and just have Drake May sitting out basically the whole second half after he threw a million touchdowns.
You are allowed to do those things,
right? Couldn't you just bend that team?
If I hear one more person or see one more tweet about this being scripted, just to have the Steelers and the Ravens in prime time on Sunday night.
Oh no!
Like, yeah, the league's the reason that they scored 6 points against that team.
Couldn't convert on 4th downs or
went
on 3rd downs.
3 for 15 on 3rd downs or whatever it was.
Why. Yeah, that's because Roger Goodell made them do that, right?
Exactly right. The league would have loved to have the Bills and the Patriots and still meaningful AFC East action. I realize those teams don't play, but still playing for the title. So
there's a few narratives we're going to talk about this week that I hate that are so foolish.
I'm sure the other one is the Myles Garrett one, and we can get to that here in the first hour or two.
Why didn't they throw to open Gainwell on this? Some other things I'll make.
Now some of them, like we need to talk about Freiermuth and Hello, see what happens when he finally gets involved.
Wow,
too little, too late. But to me, it all comes back to. It felt like if this was going to be different, this was going to be different from the last handful of years of scratch and claw, and yes, get into the playoffs, which I never want to act like that means nothing. Like it
means a lot. Yeah.
Getting into the playoffs is the baseline of contending for a championship. So I don't want to act like that means nothing, but
the goal is not to get to the playoffs. The goal is to win the whole thing.
The goal is not to get in the playoffs. The goal is to go on a run, and they've been crystal clear about that. It's why they've turned over the quarterback position for 3 straight years now. It's why they went out and got guys like Jalen Ramsey. And that's what, really had me honked off last night and this morning, is that was your opportunity to prove that this 2025 team was different than its 3 or 4 predecessors.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you can feel that way now here 24 hours later.
Yeah, and some other venting things, you kind of stick with your tone here is, why can't you win in Cleveland? I don't want to hear Thursday short weeks anymore.
Is it me maybe? Because you realize since I started traveling, they haven't won. I'm 0-4 in Cleveland. I'm 0-4 in Cleveland.
Probably getting pretty old, too. Driving home.
Yeah.
This stinks, yeah.
Taking that bus ride across the miserable landscape of Northeast Ohio.
If it was the Burrow era and you couldn't win in Cincy, or the Lamar era and you can't win in Baltimore, it's like, because they got a really good player and they're really good.
I can tell you why the Jets couldn't win in Foxborough for 20 years when Tom Brady was in their way.
Can't you beat this team in their building?
Yes.
They're not a good franchise.
Yes.
Right. And again, it's a game you got to win. It's a game you got to win. It's a game you got to win. But a couple things that I just want to get back to. The first quarter defense, or the first 2 drives defense, was below the line. And again, you knew they were going to come out with designer stuff, but still you made it too easy on them. You're too soft in your zones. You can't spot them 10-0 or whatever it is in a game is not going to be high scoring. I mean, you knew that coming in.
Yes.
There's going to be some folks, some of you on Twitter were wise enough to even tweet me, but the Steelers won the turnover battle, 2-0. No, they didn't. They missed a field goal.
Not if you factor in 4th downs.
And you're 0 for 3 on 4th downs. Those were massive. And then you couple it, as you said, with being horrendous on 3rd downs. The pivotal downs, you lost dramatically. I mean,
the weighted moments were a bowling ball around your neck that drug you to the bottom of the ocean.
And the biggest reason you lost, probably.
Yes.
Like on a down-by-down basis, I don't know if the Steelers were the worst team.
No, I think they were better on a down-by-down basis.
I do too, especially once the defense got things set. It was over. I mean,
to use an analogy that you pull in a lot of times, if that's a 15-round boxing fight, the Steelers won more rounds.
They did.
The Browns just landed the haymakers.
Yeah, right. And it wasn't like the Bills game was the worst game for me. In terms of how they played. Man, you should be embarrassed how you played. This one, you didn't execute the right times. And clearly, you didn't have anyone that could beat man coverage. I mean,
no.
I mean,
the pass game was practically non-existent.
That's a big problem. And I thought Rodgers was okay. But I didn't. There's some Monday morning quarterbacking involved.
Oh, no doubt.
But that's our job. I think he checked that. I would have run the ball a higher percentage of the time.
That might be complaint number 1.
Yeah, it's pretty high on the list. They're pretty darn good on it.
Why is he throwing the ball 39 times, right? With no DK, no Calvin Austin, a good Browns defense and pass rush.
4th downs, do we need to throw a fade?
No
Scotty
Isaac
Miller,
Seumalo.
Exactly, right. And the run game was good. I mean, they're averaging 5.5 a carry.
Warren, I think, had 5.6 at halftime, if I'm remembering correctly, from the halftime report.
And Rob even did the math. He said if you take out the Hayward, long run, they still average 4.5 or 4.6. Take that all day long.
Absolutely.
And you rush for over 100.
It felt like there were a lot of times, and we got a break to get to Rob King here, but it felt like there were a lot of times.
More running.
More Muth, more running.
Right.
That's week 18, top of the grease board. But it felt like there were so many times on 1st down they'd pick up 4 or 5 on the ground, and then 2 incomplete pass. Or they'd pick up. How many times did they pick up 4 or 5 yards on 1st down and then threw short of the sticks on 2nd down and lost 3 or 4 yards? And then all of a sudden, despite having 2nd and 5, it's 3rd and 7. It's 3rd and 8. It's 3rd and 9. That happened way too often.
Yep. And we even said, not that we know better than them, but we said Thursday, Friday, run on 1st, run on 2nd, run on 3rd, and maybe punt, And by the 4th quarter, it'll pay off because the Browns are not going to run away from you. And this is not the Lions game in terms of prep. It's not. It's the total opposite.
You're not going to have to score 20-some points to win this game.
No, right.
A lot to get to. There's kind of your opening salvo, your scene setter. We'll talk to the voice of the Steelers, Rob King, all his thoughts from the game in Cleveland yesterday from his vantage point when we return on the other side. Just getting started here on a Monday. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
Half a century after its birth, it may now be the single most iconic sports item ever created for the fan.
Myron Cope's terrible towel. Well, that is part of the Steeler lore, no doubt about it.
And he told Myron, he says, I want you to come up with some kind of gimmick so we can promote stuff, on the air.
So I said to them, I'm not a gimmick guy. I've never been a gimmick guy. And they said to me, your contract comes up for renewal in a few months. And I said, well, let me see if I can think of a gimmick.
What I remember is that it came on so fast and so furious. There were no towels, and then there were towels everywhere.
First batch of towels sold out in 4 hours. And then they printed up another batch, and that one sold out in 2 hours.
Became part of the people and became part of the culture. And to be a Steeler fan, you had to have a terrible towel.
It is what they take with them into battle. It's their weapon, and they use it.
Woo! Look at all these terrible towels. Everybody got one. Look at Casino.
And when it gets going, and that whole stadium is waving, it is something magical.
You still?
I'm Lynn Swan, and I'm going to tell you how the terrible towel came to be, what I did that helped our fans embrace it, and why the tradition has endured for 50 years.
Myron Cope was just synonymous with the Steelers.
The terrible towel is poised to strike, so are the Steelers.
The terrible towel and seeing that waved around the stadium still makes me think of him and the importance it has in the community.
Even from the very beginning, he always gave some of it to charity. And he never advertised that, ever. And then somewhere in the 80s, it became half. In 1996, he decided to donate all of it.
I don't even know how to begin to frame how thankful and grateful we are that we can continue our mission because of donations like we get from the terrible towel.
This is a Steelers story, the terrible towel.
Rolling along here on the drive on a Monday. To the phone lines we go to talk to the voice of your Pittsburgh Steelers, Rob King, who was there by the lake at Huntington Bank Field. I was sitting right behind him throughout that Browns 13, Steelers 6 disappointing performance yesterday there, and an opportunity for the Steelers to clinch the AFC North. Kinger, where are you at today? Are you looking ahead optimistically? Matt and I kind of towed the line in the opening segment of, hey, there's still the AFC North to play for. It's such a week-to-week league. Versus, you had a real opportunity to wrap this thing up. You had a real opportunity to rest and give some of your veteran guys, a blow on Sunday and have a 1 o'clock kickoff that meant nothing against Baltimore, and now it means everything on Sunday Night Football in prime time. Where are you at in terms of your optimistic, pessimistic, glass half full, glass half empty here, about 24 hours later?
Yeah, it's all that. My glass is medium full. I'm some of it's negative and some of it's positive. I mean, you lost 3 straight games in Cleveland. To go up there and beat them down, and it's a team. Look, the crowd was, it was half full at kickoff. People started appearing. By the end of the game, it was full. And the crowd was into it, but it just felt like, boy, if you somehow could have gotten on top of him early and ushered him, to the exit, and just kind of won comfortably. That's what I was hoping for. Kind of a repeat of the first meeting between the two teams, in which you didn't do anything dramatic, but you just simply won the game. You're just a better team, and you sort of slowly, methodically beat them, and you didn't. And it's, highly disappointing that you didn't do that. I'm sure they're disappointed that you didn't do that. There's some malarkey coming out of the game about, all they cared about was, not letting Myles Garrett break the sack record, which, by the way, a narrative that, as far as I know, began with Myles Garrett and continued with Myles Garrett after the game, and which I don't buy in the least. But, that was disappointing. You had a real opportunity there, and now you have to win a game, right? And with that comes the notion that you could just play a poor game, or a call could go against you, or something in that nature against an opponent in which you're evenly matched. So you let an opportunity slip away, and that's just the way it is. But you still have a chance to win the AFC North. And by the way, I'm sure we'll get to this, I still think there were some things that the Steelers continued to do well in this game, but ultimately it's hard on Monday not to be disappointed with what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to stick with the defense. I mean, I think they got after the quarterback well. I thought they stuffed the run well. I thought they went the line of scrimmage. And, outside of the first couple series, I thought the defense more than played well enough to win this football game. They took the ball away. They could have had probably another. I mean, there was potential there for 2 pick sixes. One of them didn't even end up being a pick. But I think early, I'm not saying the game was lost, but you kind of injected the Browns with hope right off the bat, by the way that you played defense in the first series or two.
It was very similar to what we saw a week ago with them, Matt. And I know you talked about this, and certainly Max and I talked about it as well. Kevin Stefanski is a very good offensive coach. I don't mean to damn him with faint praise. Right. He's won 2 Coach of the Year awards. You can talk about that however you want, but I don't want to damn him by faint praise by just saying he's an offensive guy. But he's got a very good offensive mind. They had a great drive. I was talking to the guys from Cleveland before the game, said it might have been their best drive of the season. The opening drive against the Bills. They came out in a couple of opening drives against the Steelers and looked good. I thought the Steelers, I would have liked to have seen them adjust maybe a little quicker earlier in the game. But ultimately, when you allow a team 10 points on their home field, and then, they got the late field goal when you went for it on 4th and long from your own territory. But really, you shut them out after that. If you allow 10 points, you should win the game. There were a lot of things that happened in this game that if you told me that was what was going to happen, you should win the game. By the same token, you're right, Matt. There was it's a bit of a tone setter. And tone setters they're not statistics, but they're not irrelevant either. And so I thought that that was relevant.
Oh, absolutely. I think there were a lot of those tone setters early on for Cleveland that kept them believing, kept them in the game. As you mentioned, it was a uncharacteristically flat Browns crowd. For as disappointing as that franchise has been, that crowd usually shows up, especially when the black and gold are in town. And it wasn't really until that 8-minute drive that ended with a Chris Boswell miss that it felt like the crowd really came alive when it was still 10-6 at that point, and they were chanting Myles Garrett's name and all that stuff. Kinger, I wanted to ask you just about kind of piggybacking off of that, though. Guys, I'm not breaking any news here. You're going to have to score more than 6 points at home next week to beat the Baltimore Ravens. I don't care if it's Huntley or Lamar Jackson at quarterback. You're going to need to score more than 6. DK Metcalf isn't going to be back. Who knows on Calvin Austin? We'll wait and see this week. Darnell Washington, broken arm. He's not going to be there. Rob, to me, this is... it's a time where you're searching for answers, and there's not a lot of easy context clues for this Steelers offense.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. By the same token, there were a number of small plays that happened in this game that leave you scratching your head and leave you thinking, hey, a different result, maybe a different approach, and who knows what happens. So, for example, you just talked about the missed Chris Boswell field goal. Well, Aaron Rodgers gets sacked to play before that, right? And if you throw the ball away there, or if whatever the case may be, you don't get a sack. I don't want to necessarily ascribe blame because I don't go back and I don't get a chance to see the replay, right? I don't get a chance to see what happened, but if that's 6 yards closer.
Yeah.
Going in that direction, in which watching pregame warmups, guys were barely making long 40s or 50-yard field goals. So you give that to Chris Boswell 5 yards closer, 6 yards closer. I think it was a 6-yard sack. Who knows what happens? People talk about the decision to go up the sideline to Scotty Miller on the 4th and 1, moving in the opposite direction earlier in the game. I would have liked to have seen the Steelers run the ball there. They originally were going to. There was 3rd and a foot, and they lined up in a spread, then came back into an I formation, and then they're standing around at the line of scrimmage trying to get in the right, the right formation, and Dylan Cook jumps. I wouldn't mind seeing you just line up there and say, hey, listen, we're going to get a foot. Let's line up in the I formation and get it, or let's go Steel City shove and get it. There were a lot of moments like that. And when you look back at the game, yeah, you got to score more than 6 points. They ran the ball effectively. They were 3 for 15 on third down, 3 for 15, 0 for 3 on fourth down. That's just not going to win the ball game. And a lot of those, as I was just mentioning, were manageables and some plays that just, you want to second guess the play calling or whatever you want to do. It doesn't, at this stage of the game, it doesn't matter. What matters is you were 3 for 15 on third down and 0 for 3 on fourth down, and you're not going to win games when you do that. No. And so you only score 6 points, but there were opportunities to score more than 6 points.
Let's stick with Rodgers real quick, Rob. I mean, I can't remember an NFL game where a quarterback got less help from their wide receivers. I'm not talking about their pass catchers, the wide receiver position. But he also missed some throws. He made some throws. He didn't, as he often has this year, elevate those around him against a good D. But I'm not sure this is on him or not. I think some Monday morning quarterbacking's involved here too. I would have liked to seen a higher percentage of runs that were working well. Yep. Maybe more targets to Warren and especially Gainwell and Freiermuth as well. Maybe even Jonnu, And I don't know if that's Rodgers' fault or what. I mean, I'm not even blaming him,
There's no short answer to this because so I'm gonna give you a longer answer, which is that we're praising Aaron Rodgers for making decisions at the line of scrimmage and taking command of things. Mm-hmm. It's been a big part of why they've been successful. It's been a big part of why your offense looked really good at Baltimore, looked really good against Miami, and looked phenomenal against Detroit. We're all praising Aaron Rodgers for when they have the audio telling Kenneth Gainwell, motion out right and run a go route. I mean, you talk about drawing it up in the dirt on the fly in a game. He's got those capabilities. In this game, it looked to me, I'm not in the huddle. I'm not at the line of scrimmage. I don't know what plays are changing out of or into. It looked to me like when they changed out of plays, it wasn't effective as it's been. And when that happens, what's going to happen? You're going to say they should have run the ball more. I brought up a similar circumstance to me where Aaron Rodgers makes a call at the line of scrimmage, which has been effective more often than it's not been effective. It's against the Chargers late. You need a score. You're starting to run the ball more effectively. You got a 2nd and 6. You've got to look. I think it was a sweep to the right call. That's the way everybody moved. But Aaron Rodgers sees DK Metcalf's going to run a slant. So, and a quarterback has these abilities to just, get the snap, stand up, and make a throw, whether it's out to the flat or what have you. He sees DK Metcalf, and Bud Dupree drops in front of that coverage, and now the play's not going to work. And you can't anticipate that Bud's going to do that, right? So I want Aaron, and that's a play that didn't work, but I want Aaron Rodgers to have the freedom to do that because it's been part of why he's been successful. It looked to me like some of those instances weren't effective yesterday, didn't work. And so you know what? What are you going to do? What are you going to say? Hey, Hall of Fame quarterback, you don't get to do that anymore? No.
Mm-hmm.
But
the last thing you want to do is neuter. You don't want to take that.
The Steelers maybe make some of those decisions running the ball. Look, yeah. I mean, I said, Matt, you and I do a show called The Matchup with Missy Matthews every week. Every week I say the same thing. Gee, I wish the Steelers run the ball more. I like their running backs. I like their running game. I think the running game is effective. I thought it was effective yesterday. I would have liked to have seen more of it. But it's not so easy to say, well, you just have to do that, because part of what has made you effective is some of those changes and some of those things at the line of scrimmage. I will say this, the other point you made in there, that receiving core, the 5 wide receivers that the Steelers put out there yesterday, as members of the Steelers, because Thielen had a few catches at the Vikings, but as a group, as a collective, as Steelers pass catchers, they had 28 receptions between them. 28.
Yeah.
And Gainwell and Warren, I believe the number was 98 between them. And I think they had 3 catches between them. And Warren, I don't think, was even targeted in the game. And so, maybe. But again, the Browns know that too. They've got an excellent defensive coordinator. Did they scheme against that? Hey, man, I leave those things up to Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm not paid to be an offensive coordinator. And I don't. Matt, you and I were having a conversation earlier today about this. Hey, look, look at here's a freeze frame of Gainwell was open over the middle. They should have dumped it to him on that last play from the goal line. Well, I didn't see it that way. You didn't see it that way. I think if he throws that pass, Delpit and Schlesinger come up and make the stop at the 3-yard line, and the game's over. Mm-hmm. So, everybody can second guess the next day, right? And so would I like to see them run the ball more and stick with the run more? Yes. That's circling back. I think I answered your question 14 different ways.
Yeah, but you mentioned how they did do a lot of good things, and I do think the running game remains a good thing.
Yeah, look, they ran the ball well. These are the things that I've liked, okay? They've in the 3-game winning streak going on. They've done a good job against the run. That included Derrick Henry, 25 carries, 94 yards. Sign me up, right? They've done well against the run. Certain play, like I think Cam Hayward's playing his best football. I think Alex Highsmith's a force, and continues to be a force. So I think there's a lot of things to like about what the defense is doing. They've run the ball. They didn't run the ball effectively against Baltimore, but they've run it effectively ever since, including yesterday. The turnover culture, right? They'd won 10 straight games in which they won the turnover battle. That didn't happen. They won the turnover battle. I know the 4th downs and missed field goals, Matt, and I agree with you, should be counted as turnovers. They're not. You'd won 10 straight games.
Yeah.
Not only did you in which you hadn't turned, 10 straight games in which you hadn't turned the ball over. They didn't turn the ball over, and they got 2 turnovers. So many things that happened in this game that if you had told me this is what's going to happen before the game, I would have told you the Steelers are going to win. And so do we chuck this out the window? Well, we'll find out Sunday night, right? Because if you're trending in the right direction and you're good enough to win with the way you've been playing, then you'll win on Sunday night. And if you aren't, then you won't, and you won't make the playoffs. That's the beauty about the games. You go out and play them.
And they're going to have to go out and play one Sunday night in prime time, Rob King. I know you're excited about that, baby, on Sunday.
Listen, man, with the emotions are like you're bumming because you're down because you had a golden opportunity against a team that I think you should have beaten and you were favored to beat. And I know you've had troubles up there, but, you're down because of that. But as this week goes on, the knowledge in the back of my mind as the week goes on, and it's going to be so exciting. Sunday night at Acrisure, I can't wait for that, man. I can't wait.
I would have rather had Aaron Rodgers resting that left wrist and Jalen Ramsey in sweats and Cam Hayward in sweats. But it will be exciting at 8:15 when the towels are swirling and the fireworks are going off and Rob King's booming voice is ringing across the Steelers audio network. Kinger, thanks for the time as always, partner. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it, guys. Thanks very much.
There he goes. Voice of your Pittsburgh Steelers, Rob King. Plenty to get into there that he touched on, Matt. Some more specifics that I want to dive into here in our final segment of the first hour when we return on the other side. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Rolling along here on The Drive, our final week of shows here in 2025 as it is approaching the new year and a final opportunity for the Steelers to get the hat and the T-shirt and the AFC North Division champions. Of course, it will be Sunday night, 8:20 Sunday night football against the Ravens. Matt, more that we have to get to here, but Kinger brought this up, but I think you and I did want to touch on this at some point. The Myles Garrett postgame, I think the Steelers were doing all that they can to stop me from getting the record, and that ended up costing them. And I've seen that all over the place. I'm sure you've seen it and gotten tweets about it.
Oh, makes me crazy.
That far out there that, it cost the Steelers and all they wanted to do was slow down Myles Garrett. Well, yeah, he's the defensive player of the year in a wrecking force. That makes a lot of sense that you would try and take that guy out of the game. I don't know. It felt to me like the same game plan that they had against the Browns a couple months ago. You just didn't have DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin. You didn't have anybody who could get open, and therefore Aaron Rodgers, instead of throwing 7-8 yard completions, was throwing for 2-yard gains, 2-yard losses. It just there was a lack of rhythm there that I think is easy to blame on. They were so focused on Myles Garrett, and they were focused on Myles Garrett. There's no doubt. But that's been every time they've played Myles Garrett. They didn't have enough to overcome taking him and making him a focal point requires a lot of other guys winning their one-on-ones. When you're devoting extra resources to Myles Garrett, a lot of other guys have to win their one-on-ones.
You're putting 5 out in routes.
And nobody else was winning their one-on-ones.
Yes, exactly. So people look at it the wrong way. They were too focused on the record. I don't think they gave a crap about the record.
I don't know. I mean, I think they did. I think that part's fair.
Or Buffalo the week before didn't. No one wants to be the team you break the record.
Correct. But especially the Steelers against him. And
that's fine.
Like there's history there and feelings there.
But I will contend that their game plan wouldn't have changed one bit if he set the record last week or if this was week 2.
I agree with you on yes. I completely agree with you on that.
Right. I mean, the way that Garrett phrased it that everyone ran with was they were more concerned about me not getting the record as opposed to winning the game. No. The way to win the game is to make sure you don't wreck it because you're awesome. This is a compliment to you. It has nothing to do with the number in your sack category at the moment. You're going to game plan the exact same way. The Bills did the exact same thing. They never ran at him. They doubled him like madmen every time they threw. They took the ball out of Josh Allen, the MVP's hands. They just happened to end up with a win. I mean, that's smart. That's what people did to Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White and Aaron Donald. You're that level player. I mean, Watt has gotten this in his career too. It's not that we can't stand you breaking the record against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's we want to win this game, and the way to do it is to give you an extreme amount of attention.
And when that's the case, when you're devoting extra resources to one guy, you got to win your one-on-ones, and they didn't have anybody that could do that.
No one could do it, right?
You combine that with what was not Aaron Rodgers' best game. I think he said as much post-game. Like his guys weren't getting open for him, but there was also some times that he missed some guys. Both can be true. Both of those things were true, and that's just one of those. Listen,
I mean, they know man coverage beaters. Period.
This is, a lot of people tweet and comment about how much you love Myles Garrett, and why don't you?
That's fine.
Why don't you go give Myles Garrett a big hug and a big smoochy kiss, Matt Williamson? Here's where I'll go on the other side and put on my black and gold glasses. Myles Garrett loves doing this anytime the Browns beat the Steelers.
Oh, he knows what buttons to push.
He loves in his post-game interview talking about how I'm better than TJ and I'm the alpha in this league and I do this and I do that. He loves to run with a narrative when it's convenient for him.
He's got the gravestones for the quarterbacks.
Yes.
And he's very aware of his brand.
Now they lose, and he
I can only do so much. We can only do so much on the defense. We're only out there for half of the game, and teams are keying on me and taking me out of the game plan.
But then when he beats the Steelers, he acts like he's, Hulk Hogan cutting a promo in the middle of WrestleMania 3.
Right. When I talk about Myles Garrett, it's not because I'm his best friend. I mean, there's probably a lot of athletes don't want to hang out with, but what he does on the field's really good.
Yeah. And then he runs his mouth like an absolute jabroni, despite him being on a 4-win team that, by the way, less than a year ago, he requested a trade from because he said, I'm never going to win here.
And he's right.
There you go. Now everybody on this show can stop accusing us of being a bunch of Myles Garrett fanboys.
Right.
He
But it's not about we can't allow this guy to beat the record against this franchise.
No.
We're trying to win the game.
I would be, Matt, I think it would be disingenuous to think that wasn't a conversation point at all throughout the week for the Steelers.
Oh, sure.
Hey, you want this guy to do this to break TJ's record against you?
Right.
But
hey, Dylan Cook, do you want to be the one that's on the poster, blah, blah, blah.
It's not 3 or 4 days of practice and preparation of whatever, no matter what, over our dead bodies is Myles Garrett. If you got to hold on to his leg and
the way Rob phrased it on a different show was, if Garrett had 2 sacks and they stop the game and they award him all that, all the wonderful things, but the Steelers drive home with a win, they'd take it every time.
Yeah,
they'd take it every time.
Yep,
right.
And ideally, you would add the best of both worlds, right? You find a way to win. You find a way to limit Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
You get
but that's how you win, is you limit Myles Garrett.
Correct. Correct. And again, last time you were able to do that, I mean, here, if you can give me a quick second to pull up the box score from the last time the Steelers played the Browns, which was, of course,
last time he did not have a sack.
Yes,
He has a sack every time since.
That too.
Now he can influence the game in other ways too. He's got a million tackles for loss. He's good against the run.
No doubt.
Double teams.
No doubt.
Doesn't mean like he didn't show up yesterday.
Exactly right. Exactly right. But for example, the last time the Steelers and the Browns played, when they had a similar game plan for Myles Garrett, I thought it was like almost a carbon copy type.
Yeah. It'll probably happen next time they play the Browns too.
DK Metcalf had
Unless
90.
he demands a trade again.
DK Metcalf had 95 yards and a touchdown. Darnell Washington had 62 yards, averaged over 20 yards a reception. Connor Hayward had a double-digit reception. Roman Wilson had a double-digit reception. Pat Freiermuth, double-digit reception. Darnell had a 36-yarder. DK Metcalf had a 25-yarder. You threw for 235 yards in the air the last time you played the Browns. That's the difference.
That's the difference, right?
When you can't throw and you're devoting extra resources, rightfully so, to Myles Garrett, that's the issue. You didn't really run the ball that successfully against the Browns in that first outing. You had 100 yards exactly on 28 carries, just 3.6.
Okay.
But what you did have, Matt, was 21 receptions, an average of 11.2 yards, and multiple explosives and long gains.
Yeah.
You had none of that.
I don't remember that
yesterday.
game like I do remember this past game, but I think Rodgers was checking the throws against man coverage, against single high, because that's what the Browns do. And this week you do it with guys that can't get open against man coverage, against single high, against a really good defense at doing that. I mean, that's the nuts and bolts of the difference between those two games. Like, I read this today. So when the Steelers were in 12 personnel, one back, two tight ends.
One back, two tight ends.
100% of the snaps at wide receiver were Thielen and MVS. And 12 personnel, the only
because there's two wide receivers on the field as well.
100% of them in 12 were those two guys. When they went to 11 and took a tight end off the field and added a receiver, 100% of the snaps were MVS, Thielen,
Scotty Miller.
The only time Roman Wilson or any other receiver even saw the field was when they were in 13. Wilson got a few snaps when there were three tight ends on the field. Now, if 100% of your 12 and 13 snaps are going to be Miller, Thielen, who just got cut, who Miller could get cut at any point, and
they
MVS,
didn't think he was one of their best five coming out of Latrobe in August.
Right, and MVS, who's been on like 4 teams in 5 years, and anyone could have had him 2 months ago, it's not good enough. I mean, it's just not good enough. And you're happy those guys are here. It'd be even worse without
Or I guess
them.
was Scotty Miller on the initial 53? He might have been.
I think,
but then he was demoted.
Let's
a
just
couple
be
weeks
honest. He's
after.
as borderline of 53
yes,
guys
yes.
as anyone on the team.
Yes,
and I like them. And it'd be worse off without those guys.
Oh, no doubt.
Picking them
no
up
doubt.
is not the wrong move. It's just that's what you're down to. What was it a couple years ago when they're pulling linebackers and safeties off the couch? You know, I mean, that's kind of what they're doing. You know?
That was 2 seasons ago, I think. When they were getting guys that weren't even on practice squads. That were just at home on the couch, as Matt Williamson just said there. And
they can be a supporting actor. They can't be De Niro. Yeah, right.
And then that gets exacerbated when it's 4th and 1 and you throw downfield to Scotty Miller. Just
right, and
a
maybe
lot of
we can blame Rodgers for that decision. Or hey, if you want to give them a hard time, why would you throw it a Pro Bowl corner with Valdez-Scantling 3 times in a row? Have at it. I'm not going to defend them for that stuff.
Just again those weighty moments every time they had an opportunity, like.
They came up short.
They came up short. You finally get that Sawyer. The Browns go turnover on downs, and then the next possession, Sawyer gets the interception, gives you the ball in plus territory. You have that 4th and 1 downfield to Scotty Miller. You didn't run the ball. You didn't go to Muth, who was open over the middle of the field. All that momentum that you had in that moment was that. All right, we're down a touchdown. Here we go. Sawyer sets us up. We're about to tie this game before halftime. We get the ball back at half. You get no points. Momentum zapped. You end up settling for a field goal. You didn't get down into the red zone very often.
No.
I mean, did they have one red zone snap until that final sequence with
Sounds right.
with
Yeah,
MVS?
right,
I think they ran one play in the red zone until that final drive.
Yeah.
That's not the way to get. I don't care how bad the opponent is that you're playing.
Yeah.
You're gonna struggle when that's the case.
You need Boz to make the kick too.
He balls to make a kick.
2 in 3 weeks or whatever. I mean, he's not Teflon.
I know a lot. Absolutely right. I know a lot of things didn't go their way, Matt, but some things did. A lot. That interception to Kyle Duggar was terrible by Shedeur Sanders.
So bad.
The Steelers had 3 fumbles that either bounced right back to them or one that was like a pseudo pass from Aaron Rodgers to Jonnu Smith.
That's a great point.
They
got some bounces.
Jalen Warren fumbles on the first drive. You get it back. MVS fumbles out of halftime. You get it back. The Aaron Rodgers one that got hit and sacked out of his hands that goes right into Jonnu Smith's arms. They had a lot of things go their way.
It wasn't it wasn't your day. You didn't get any bounces. The refs killed you, blah, blah, blah. I didn't love the way the refs.
No, I didn't either, but I thought they were bad on both sides.
Yeah, I thought they were bad.
I thought they were real bad on both sides. That sequence.
That's why you lost.
That sequence at the end of the first quarter was a perfect example where that really bad. They have that horrible OPI on MVS that cost the Steelers a first down. But then the next play they run it back with a terrible taunting call on the Browns to give the Steelers a first down.
Like NHL makeup call.
That felt exactly like an NBA or an NHL makeup call. If we just miss this one, we'll get it back on the other end. No, just get it right the first time.
Just don't screw it up. Right.
But yeah,
and I didn't like the Hayward roughing. Put the body weight.
Same. Even though I know that's like the letter of the law type thing, I still think that was not the right example. He's trying to take half of his body off of him and
taking his arms off at the time. Yeah.
He was engaged with a defensive lineman. That's tough. It is. 2 turnovers, no points off of them. Every time you had the ball in plus territory, you felt like you found a way to go backwards or just to stumble. Special teams, uncharacteristic stuff there too.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, it was a kind of masterclass of everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
Yeah, but you're right. It's a great point about there were fumbles that your fumble luck was good, that.
Outstanding.
It was real lucky.
It was go play the Powerball.
Yeah.
Good. And then
lined up, right.
Luck in that department. So, and you had some bad luck in some moments as well, but it just, it comes back to, I think, really those weighty moments. So many of those third and fourth
downs. I want to mention
downs.
about the game. I know we're up against it too, but I didn't have a lot of respect for Shedeur going in, nor would I change my opinion greatly, but I thought he played a good game.
Yeah. He did what he needed to do to navigate them to a win.
That Duggar interception was horrendous, but I thought Shedeur played better than I expected him to.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. 17 of 23, 186 yards, 8.1 average.
He avoided sacks. And,
only took 2 sacks.
He's taken a ton of them. They got a lot of pressure on him, and they didn't get him to the ground.
And it's not like they were running the ball well either. He was kind of their only.
He had to do stuff.
He had a lot of.
He lost Fannin early.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Judkins, right.
Didn't have Judkins, lost Fannin early, was getting the ball to Tillman, was getting the ball to Judy.
Yeah, he was throwing well over the middle.
Yeah, made a couple plays with his legs. Had 20 yards rushing, had that one long 11-yarder to pick up a first down, I think it was, or at least maybe make a third down manageable for Cleveland.
Now, as a Steeler fan, I hope
they run it back with him.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Get them out of the quarterback market.
Yes.
And I'd love to see him there as long as possible because I don't think he's the answer. But
he did what he had to do.
He did well.
I mean, again, on that list of the DTRs and all these, the Jameis Winstons, all these different quarterbacks that we've seen these last 4 years that the Steelers have lost in Cleveland, they did just enough for their team to be able to, to engineer victory.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't go out and win the game, but they didn't lose it either. There might have been 1 or 2 questionable decisions and turnovers, but they made some plays as well. That definitely deserves a mention. And they held the Browns to just 3.1 yards rushing.
I try not to make the mistake on Mondays after Steeler losses to factor that the opponent had nothing to do with it.
Sure.
Especially the opposing quarterback.
Their start was very important. Getting that 10-0 lead out of the gate was important for them, was important for putting the Steelers behind the 8 ball. It really showed up in the end. Let's continue talking about this game, dissecting all these different angles and elements and conversation pieces. Halfway home, 1 hour in the books, another hour to go. Uhler, Williamson, it's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Good evening, Steeler Nation. How we doing? Us too. Hour number 2 here.
Not great.
Not great, but Matt Williamson tells me he's got some positivity for me here in hour number 2 to make me feel better. But Matt, before that, Derek Harmon speaking just a little while ago in the locker room saying You don't let a loss get to your heart, and you don't let a win get to your head. Wise words there from the rookie, and maybe I could take that to heart here on this Monday.
He shows time and time again that he's a well-spoken, smart young man that knows the game really well, and those guys don't bust.
He's going to be an important player for this franchise for the next decade.
I like to hear it from
I
him.
let this loss get to my heart. I mean, I'm not.
I bet.
I'm
And
making
you were there. And,
I'm making no bones about it. I wanted the rest going into the playoffs. I wanted the easy feet up Sunday 1:00 kickoff. And now I'm a little more doom and gloom, but I'll respond by tomorrow. But you mentioned that there was something you wanted to run by me here that might make me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, and Pursuta brought some of these stuff up in the show I mentioned, and kind of looking forward situation. That first off, and I'll say this a lot this week, but it happens. Ravens have a rest advantage. I'm not big on that. Yet again, where the Steelers are at a rest disadvantage. Only one game in, you're at home, so it's not that big a deal, and it's a common opponent. But I do think the fact that it's a common opponent and these teams know each other so well probably works in your favor. Not that it doesn't work in the Ravens' favor, but I'm sure Tomlin and company will watch the Browns tape and be like, I know exactly how Harbaugh's going to attack us, which isn't rocket science. It's going to be a ton of Derrick Henry, and it's going to be man coverage on the outside with single high.
Yes.
But they don't rush the passer as well. I mean, they got to generate blitz to get home against, but where Pursuta was going with this, and I thought it was a good angle too, though. He's like, all that matters is week 18. And yes, you'd love the rest. And it's a game you should win. It's a game you should win. It's a game you should win. I know that. But you at least got a test run of what not to do and how to game plan without Metcalf. You know what kind of defenses you're going to see. There'll be different human beings doing the coverage, the pass rush, the tackling, the play calling. But you have a pretty good idea of how the Ravens are going to attack you, especially because you know the organization so well. And I think you learned what to do and what not to do by kind of a practice run. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean, I think there's something to be taken away from that. And if not, you should be critical of the coaching staff that you didn't learn from your mistakes in some ways, or critical of Rodgers for checking to a pass too much. I don't need go balls to Scotty Miller against Humphrey or whatever next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Let's just run the ball and make it Muth-centric. And so I think that stuff's kind of interesting. And, something to take away from it at least is, hey, you did this. And the other thing, and maybe it's true for Baltimore too, maybe they'll have Lamar. I don't know what their injury situation is. But
yeah, we'll get more clarity on that later in the week.
But I think there's a better chance that you have Watsy, Amalu, Pierre, Austin this week than last. Well, there's 0% last week. So there's a chance you're getting those guys back. You lost Washington.
I think DK would be the one that I would want back most in this setting, and we know the answer to that one. I do.
But you know what I mean.
I will say I wouldn't have pegged Pursuta to be like the Sergeant Optimism there.
Right.
Well, I might be Major Misery, and he's Sergeant Optimism.
Yeah.
All those things are very true.
Yeah.
I just didn't want them to have to be true.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But
I didn't want to have to. We have an idea of how they're going to attack us. Well, now hopefully we know how we have to operate with. I didn't want to have to worry about operating with DK Metcalf more than one game in Cleveland yesterday, and then he's suspended for a game that doesn't matter. Great, we got him back for the playoffs. And again,
this is the hand you're dealt on Monday.
I think
how you have to look at it.
Speaking of hand, as this all comes full circle for us, I think my biggest doom and gloom thing to today is they keep showing Aaron Rodgers, and I want to go back and watch the broadcast, because again, I'm in the booth and I'm hyper focused on my job and all the things that are going on. But it seemed like in that fourth quarter, every time I looked up at the TV in our booths, because we've got all the monitors and everything. Every time I looked up, it would be Aaron Rodgers sitting on the bench with Arthur Smith, Tom Arth, one or the other, between the two with the jacket on, and always messing with his wrist, looking at his wrist, making a look on his face, messing with his wrist. And all I kept thinking was, you have to find a way to win this game because your quarterback needs a week off before the playoffs. And instead now
all that stuff's concerning.
Instead now he's going to get, the most physical, violent opponent that you play every single year coming to your house with bad intentions. So
there's no way around any of those things you said.
Again,
and your best defensive player is
at worst going to probably be pretty rusty on Sunday night. A little rusty on Sunday night after missing a few weeks.
The oldest defensive tackle who's played the most snaps in the league. Or he's a free safety that's taking a beating over the. I mean, like,
and there's
the rest would be awesome.
Don't get me wrong. Again, by the time we get to the end of the week and we give predictions and we pick the game and all that, like, I will not be doom and gloom about the Steelers' chances Sunday night against Baltimore. I'm more doom and gloom now in the bigger picture of things. I felt like you really needed a Week 18 off to have a chance to make a playoff run, to, again, not have this season feel like a cul-de-sac where you're just continuing to spin in a circle and see the same thing, where you're actually turning a corner.
Yes.
But all that stuff that Pursuta said is true.
Yes. Right.
I mean,
there's two ways of looking at it. What could have been,
and then now what you got. You got what you got.
Coaches do is, okay, well,
totally.
We got one game to prepare for that ends our season. These are the cards in our hand. Doesn't matter what.
And then we'll worry about the playoffs and the rest and the health and all that stuff after the fact.
It's not what you wanted. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
but it's not over.
It is not over.
Yeah,
and that's what the 3 week that's what the 3 week streak afforded this team was. Not much, but a little bit of leeway down the stretch here.
Right.
And unfortunately, they would have liked to cash that card in Week 18, and
and it's set up really nice for you, and you didn't take advantage.
It's like, you ever play Uno? You ever play the card game Uno?
Yeah.
You know how, like, you want to end on the end by playing the wild card, because then you win no matter what, right? You play that wild card on the end. It doesn't matter what color is down on the deck. Bang, here's my wild card.
Right. I got one card in my hand. I'm done.
I'm the victor. I'm out. Whereas now it's like the Steelers just got hit with a draw 4. Exactly. As you were about to empty your hand and have your feet up on the table while everybody else played, you just got hit with a draw 4, and now you
exactly what happened to you.
Those cards in your hand are quite different, and you got to figure it out.
Yep, and that's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened.
And you're right. I like. If you want some optimism from me, I think the Steelers have won like 8 of their last 12 or 9 of their last 12 against the Ravens. Maybe it's not quite.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, like, in the last 12 or 13 or 14 games that the Steelers have played against the Ravens, their record is very good.
It's very good.
I mean, it's like 9-3, 9-4, something like that. Yeah. It's in your house. It's a primetime game where the Steelers at home in primetime. Over the last few years, I know this year they lost
9 of the last 12.
9 of the last 12.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And I know Lamar hasn't been there for every one of them. Might not be one,
but he might not. Yeah, exactly right.
He's gonna be compromised if he is.
I wonder, do you think with the early line, which I've seen at 3.5, Baltimore favored, depending on where you look, do you think that is an inkling of Vegas expects Lamar to play? Am I going too early? Am I jumping the gun on that?
Might be a little too early. I just think one team is coming off a much better performance than the other.
That's true.
I mean, one went on the road and beat Green Bay with a Hall of Fame running back just destroying a paper-mache defense.
That's the concerning part right now about Baltimore, is if Henry can run like that.
Yes, which he often does in December and in the playoffs. His history is real strong.
One of the greatest running backs in NFL history in December.
But they still have a lot of problems. I don't know if the Ravens are a lot scarier now than they were in the first meeting or 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now, if it comes back that Lamar's perfectly fine and he's 1,000%, I'd be like, ooh, I don't like that. But I don't get an inclination that he's going to play. I think there's a lot of things going on there.
There are. Baltimore currently 3.5 point favorites over the Steelers. Sunday night, baby.
Which I totally get. In terms of, remember what Vegas is trying to do. They're trying to get the whole world to bet on both sides.
Absolutely.
And there's a taste in your mouth is a big thing this time of year. You have a much better taste in your mouth about Baltimore.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And so, yeah, here we are. I think that's, I'm perusing back through my notes here to make sure there's no more, specific details and things like that I wanted to get to from this one. But I think we've combed about through most of it there, Mr. Williamson.
Thought the Steelers O-line played well.
I did think the offensive line did their job.
I think the Steelers D-line played well.
Yes, rocky start, but
yeah.
For the vast majority of
60 minutes per, they get a B+ for me.
Yeah.
Especially Highsmith, who I thought
Highsmith was very good.
Cam's playing at a really high level. The D and offensive lines you're about to play aren't much better than these. Or in fact, they're worse than the Cleveland D-line.
D-line, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Again, I'll be more cheerful and optimistic by Thursday and Friday.
Today's more of a review day, but Yeah.
Certainly. As now it is all on the line on Sunday, January 4th against the Baltimore Ravens. Let's take a break here. We come back. Let's go around the league, talk about some of the other Week 17 stuff that happened.
Last night.
Really fun game last night between the Niners and the Bears. That sets the Niners up for a big one in their own right on Saturday. We'll talk about all that moving and shaking around the National Football League as we approach the final week of the regular season. We'll do that when we return on the other side. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. All right, Matt, I did think of one or two more things from that loss yesterday that I wanted to run by you.
Yeah.
But let's do that. Let's do that at the end of the show.
That's fine.
Let's take a break. Let's breathe a little bit. Yeah. I am glad, at least every time I look over at you, I chuckle a little bit that we're wearing the same shirt. That's
bound to happen.
Good thing I'm not wearing jeans today, too, because if we were both same shirt and jeans, then we'd
be quite the look.
Would be quite the look. You're right, though. It is bound to happen. We do a show together every day, and we have the same,
same supplier.
8 polos.
Right.
We got the same polo dealer, and I guess it was bound to happen at some point here. But let's go around Week 17. Maybe not as consequential as it can be this time of year, but there were still a lot of important results yesterday, and I guess technically one tonight too for the Rams' sake, not so much for the Falcons, but the Rams tonight still with plenty to play for. But let's
the Rams can't win their division though.
I don't believe so.
And
with the Niners win last night, I don't think the Rams can win the division.
Niners Seahawks comes down to division.
Correct.
And the number 1 seed.
Correct.
I think the Rams are the best team in the league, and they can't be the 1 seed or a division winner. They're going to go on the road.
They're going to go on the road.
It's pretty bonkers.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
And that's also why that Rams-Seahawks game is going to be Saturday night's primetime game.
Niners Seahawks, talking about.
It's Niners Seahawks.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
is going to be Saturday night's primetime game. So we obviously had those Thursday games that we discussed when we were in here, the Christmas games that we discussed when we were here on Friday. We had 2 games on Saturday, Matt. First, the Texans go to the Chargers and win a close one, 20-16, to put themselves in position. Now there's going to be interesting, like them and Jacksonville still have plenty to play for here in the final week of the season. Texans came out hot, took a lead, and then kind of held on with that defense that continues to look very difficult.
I say, really good game, really good defense. Starting to have a little bit of concerns with the Houston offense in terms of I thought that might be the best team in the AFC. I'm still kind of leaning towards Houston would be my least favorite opponent for the Steelers.
Okay.
Or still like their chances to go to the Super Bowl. I think they're really good.
Yeah. If they
every team's flawed.
Every team is flawed, but if they could just stabilize a little bit on offense, not turn the ball over. Like they've got the playmakers at every level on that offense, and they've got one of, if not the best defenses in the National Football League.
That was a good game.
Matt, you referenced the Ravens and Packers. Obviously, we kind of touched on that, but Baltimore with a 14-point fourth quarter gets a 41-24 win at Lambeau Saturday night. That, of course, led to the Steelers needing to still win yesterday, which they did not do. I thought Malik Willis was certainly a storyline for Green Bay. He's looking like he might be one of those guys who's going to get an opportunity to go be a dude somewhere this offseason. And, of course, Derrick Henry, despite a slow start to this season, now looking like King Henry. 36 carries, 216 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
He's the obvious story and the low-hanging fruit, and everyone's aware of what he did, and it was awesome. I also thought Hundley played a very good game. Yeah, right. I mean, there's backup quarterbacks go, and
If you and I were Ravens Nation Radio, we'd be getting tweets from people saying you got to stick with Huntley even if Lamar's available.
I've heard this too.
Like
it's totally insane.
I think that's insane, but but he's played well.
Yeah, I mean the argument of is a super compromised Lamar,
a 70% Lamar
versus this version of Huntley.
Totally.
Okay, I'll listen to that. Who gives me a better chance to beat the Steelers and go to the playoffs? Okay, I'd listen to that, but I don't want to hear anything about, you're just fine with Huntley, blah, blah, blah. No. I mean, he played a good game. Packers.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a contender.
No, they're not.
I think they're holding on for dear life. That was an embarrassing defensive performance. Remind me, tease. I'm infatuated with Willis. Potentially for the Steelers. And I even sent a tweet out that night, and I've been thinking it for a while. I kind of want him to be a Steeler.
I thought we were done talking about Malik Willis and the Steelers. I thought we did that a lot in 2021.
Times have changed.
There was a local quarterback, and then there was Malik Willis, and they were the two big ones, and they went with the local guy, and for a while, everybody thought both were cooked. But now, I'm with
He's come a long way, and he
sure has.
He is going to be a free agent, folks.
Yes, he is.
He has not cost a draft pick. It could buy. I mean, we will have a lot of Malik Willis conversations. Trust me, I am infatuated.
18 of 21, 288 yards and a touchdown, only sacked once, 9 carries for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And he's still as talented as he was coming out of that tiny little school that played
Liberty.
The most remedial offense I've ever seen.
Liberty. Yeah, looks like Malik Willis is back on the menu, boys. I thought we were done.
One more name to throw in the mix.
One more name to throw in the mix. I'm with you, and we will talk about Malik Willis plenty
You're
going.
sick of talking about Malik Willis, I can promise you.
I was like 4 years ago.
Yes. I'll take this. I liked what. I mean, it's on record. Willis was my favorite quarterback in that draft.
Yes.
I liked him more than Pickett. I would have taken him more than Pickett. Dale and I did 8 million mock drafts. And if you took a quarterback, I always voted for Willis. That didn't happen. I don't know if the Steelers would have developed him. Who knows? I mean, it was different times.
Sure.
All I'm looking at is this version that's going to be a free agent and what that might cost me. I am highly interested. And other teams should be too.
Oh, we're going to have plenty of those those conversations when the season wraps and we get into the winter time here for sure. Bengals, Matt, they do what they do.
They're pretty good now.
Getting pretty good at the end of the season when it doesn't really matter for them.
Exactly,
they've done this the last couple of years.
Defense isn't an embarrassment right now. They run the ball okay,
Yep.
Burrow, Higgins, Chase, they're going to put up points. They're pretty good right now.
51 points, and what was that highest over-under of the weekend? Yeah, I mean, they are Joe Burrow, that offense, they're similar. If they can keep Burrow healthy, if they can get the defense to just average-ish, they're a dangerous team.
Right.
It is
they have
very
their ebbs and flows, but you're right.
They're another kind of doing the cul-de-sac thing. Just
exactly.
I've seen this house before. Right. I've seen this before. But they are certainly a dangerous team when they're playing like this. And
it wouldn't shock me if smart people pick them to win the North next year. I would get it.
If they have a good offseason, they could certainly be a viable candidate.
Not sure what to take of Miami. They're kind of spinning at the moment too. I mean, Quinn Ewers' their quarterback.
Wait, you mean the Cardinals?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They played Miami last week.
You're thinking last week where they went down to Miami and
Cardinals
beat up on the Dolphins.
I thought they would score more.
I did too.
I thought that would be start all your fantasy guys galore.
Because the under just hit in that
was
one.
A high over under.
The Cardinals with only 14 points allowed the
Cardinals
Bengals
are picking in the top 5 right now too. We got to go over the draft order at some point this week.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely. Speaking of which, a team that is digging themselves out of picking in the top 5, maybe even in the top 10, as they continue to win, and Tyler Shuck continues to look the part.
That's my rookie of the year. I hope some people you're still in it if you listen
tell
to
you
me a couple weeks ago.
You should listen to this Matt Williamson guy. Sometimes he kisses up the Myles Garrett too much, but other than that, he really knows what he's talking about. In a battle of two young, promising quarterbacks, I thought they both showed flashes, and the Saints end up getting it done at the end with a 14-point fourth quarter as they beat the Titans 34-26.
If I have free time, I'm going to go out of my way to watch the all-22 of both these quarterbacks. I mean, I like both of them more than Dart. I think both of them have a good future. I think both these organizations have some optimism. I mean, I think there's something to be said here. The Saints D isn't a joke right now. Olave's a star.
Olave's playing well.
Yeah, and Ward's getting better and better. So this was not Giants Raiders by any stretch.
No.
I mean, a whole different world.
These are two organizations that are trending upward.
Yeah.
The arrow might not be drastically up, but it's definitely up.
I don't think they're next year's Patriots, that type of thing. But I'd be excited from where I'm at in those worlds.
Jags get it done in Indy in a close one, Matt. The Jags needed to get it done, and they did in Indianapolis. They stay at the forefront of that division. They moved to 12-4, Jacksonville.
Just beating everybody.
23-17 over the Colts. Trevor Lawrence was efficient once again. They ran the ball well. They spread it. They've got some real weapons, at wide receiver there. Like even without Travis Hunter,
Yeah. I mean, guys like Brenton Strange and Parker Washington are not.
Parker Washington had a big day.
Yeah. They're really well coached. I mean, I think Shanahan's probably the coach of the year, but there's 5 or 6 really good candidates, Cohen being the other, or being one of them. People in Tampa Bay are livid. How could you keep Bowles and not, keep Liam Cohen?
Sure.
They're a really hard team to nitpick right now. And I'm not a doubter, but I've never once said Jacksonville's best team in the AFC. They have a pretty good case.
They might have the most impressive resume in the AFC at this point.
Pretty good case.
Yeah, man.
I'm not saying I'm there yet, but
12-4. I don't think any of us saw that coming. We could have seen this team scratching and clawing and getting into the playoffs, but 12-4 and looking.
Lawrence is playing great.
He's playing out. He's playing outstanding. They've got some weapons, and yeah, Liam Cohen, the toast. Arthur Moats' buddy, Liam Cohen, the toast of the town there.
I didn't know they had a relationship.
Yeah, they. When Moats was at JMU, he was the quarterback of UMass. So they were like the two darlings of the conference. Like Cohen was like the offensive player of the year. Moats was the defensive player of the year.
I think you did tell me that one time.
And so when they were done, they like trained and prepared for the draft and all that stuff together. Moats actually has a great story about how Liam Cohen was supposed to get on a plane to go visit like the Eagles, I think it was, in Philadelphia. And his overslept his alarm or something like that, and like came to Moats' hotel room like panicking, and Moats was like, "Dude, I got you," and like drove 90 miles an hour to get Liam Cohen to the airport to make his flight to have his visit with the Philadelphia Eagles. So yeah, a little bit of a local Steelers audio network family tie here. And speaking of the Buccaneers, who of course Liam Cohen was with last year,
they can't get anything going.
They have, like a Colts level type fall off.
Yeah.
They are 7-9 now, the Bucs are.
Yeah.
After falling 20-17 in the Battle of Florida there in Miami to the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Baker Mayfield is just
Kinda
all over
in
the
shambles
place
right now. And,
yeah.
It's clearly an offensive coordinator backwards situation there too. They're getting exposed.
They've lost 7 of their last 8 games, the Bucs.
It's been 2 months of badness.
The only team, Matt, that they've beat, over the last 2 months is the Cardinals.
Really?
By a field. They beat the Cardinals by a field goal at home.
Yeah.
Other than that, lost the Patriots, lost the Bills, lost the Rams. Okay, those are
teams,
3 really good teams.
Yeah.
But lost to the Saints.
That at the time.
Lost to the Saints, lost to the Falcons, lost to the Panthers, lost to the Dolphins.
You have 3 division losses in the worst division in the last month.
Yeah,
and
not good.
You got 1 more left.
You got 1 more left. Fortunately, thanks to the Seahawks, the Bucs still do have something to play for. Yeah. But man, I'm
probably picking Carolina.
I am too.
Yeah.
I don't know how Tampa. Listen, again, it's such a week-to-week league, and you got one opportunity in front of you to win the division, but they are just trending in the worst possible direction.
Good at all about those guys. Steelers have won 3 out of 4. They've not lost 7 of 8.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Exactly. Matt, a team that's feeling really good about themselves and got their hats and their T-shirts yesterday. The New England Patriots.
Ooh, blowout.
They just absolutely demolished the Jets, and then the Bills lose, which clinches the division for them. Your guy Drake May. I don't know.
I think he's right back in the MVP race.
Who's more your guy, Drake May or Tyler Shuck? Because they're both your guy.
Yeah.
19 of 21, 256, 5 touchdowns for Drake May.
In the fourth quarter.
I don't think he did.
It was over immediately. My 2 big takeaways. I think May is right back in the ring for MVP. The Jets could battle the Raiders now for being the worst team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They're a disgrace at this point. They traded away. They have more excuses though.
Sure.
They're in their 3rd quarterback and traded away Quinn.
Traded away in Sauce.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Panthers, Matt, they did have an opportunity to clinch at home, but they end up falling to the Seahawks. Not a shocker there.
No.
That's just 2 different class of teams. But for Seattle, gives them the opportunity to have a chance at the 1 seed in the NFC West division title. They'll play for that Saturday, like we mentioned, against the Niners. For the Panthers, it's a bummer, but not all is lost. You still have an opportunity to finish with a winning record, win the division, and get the job done against Tampa on Sunday.
Yeah. It's not the same as losing to the Browns because you lost to Seattle. Seattle's better than you. And you said that well. They're 2 different classes of NFC potential playoff teams. Seattle's going. Seattle could win the whole thing.
Where the Panthers would just be year ahead of schedule, happy to be there.
Yeah. I was not starting to come around on Bryce Young, but I was open to that he's a little better than I thought. But then he played a defense like this, and all of a sudden it's like, man, I don't know how far this guy can take.
Hard to ignore the limitations.
Yes.
Against an opponent like that.
When the stakes are a little higher.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Matt, in the battle of the bad in Las Vegas, the Giants steamrolled.
Yeah, they crushed them.
The Raiders. Dart looked okay.
Mm-hmm.
LA continued to look terrible. Pickett got in a little bit at the end. I bet
Gino
you.
Got hurt.
Yeah, Gino got hurt again. I think Kenny will probably get the final start there in Week 18. But
Raiders lose it. I think they have a very high % chance to get the first overall
pick
after this loss.
Yes,
I mean, there's some funny business going on. We're going to shut down Andrew Thomas, our best offensive lineman. Well, I'm going to shut down Max Crosby. Crosby taking videos of
him playing basketball.
Yeah, and he really wanted to play, and I wonder if he demands a trade too. But this was the battle of the bad. But the bottom line is, the Raiders are really in line to get that first overall pick.
As we've been saying for probably the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, there's some very poor teams in the NFL, but the Raiders
they take the cake right now.
They are the emperor of the bad.
That sure screams Mendoza. And then there ends up the conversation, which is an off-season conversation, is would you take Jalen Moore if you have Dart? That's something that's going to be talked about a lot. You know?
Ooh, interesting off-season for both of these teams. But at least maybe the Giants have a young. Well, they're going to.
Whether they could make a move away from him, or what's the new staff think?
They could.
What's the ownership think? I don't know.
They certainly could. But the Giants get it done there in Vegas in convincing fashion. A wild one, a low-scoring thriller at Orchard Park where the Bills score on the very last play of the game. They decide to go for 2. They do not convert. The Eagles hold on. So Buffalo now will be a wild card. They've got no chance to win the division as they fall 13-12 at home to Philly.
They're currently the 7 seed.
They're currently that's right.
I mean, they lock and move, but as it stands right now, they're the 7 seed right now. They're in.
So that would put them in what? New England? They'd go to New England for the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, Denver right now is 1.
I believe so.
This is more of a tomorrow conversation.
Yeah. Wouldn't like that if I was the Patriots. That's not who I want to see after my great season and earning the number 2 seed is Josh Allen and the Bills.
Oh, right. This was very weather, influenced to say the least. I mean, it wasn't a blizzard, but it was massive winds and all that stuff. And it did not look like a Super Bowl matchup.
No.
They both looked like pretty flawed teams.
They didn't look like 11-win teams.
No. But I do think both these teams know how to win. They've got a lot of recent playoff experience. Keep an eye on Josh Allen's foot, though. It's a problem. He's limping around a lot.
He doesn't look completely
making more
right.
Mistakes and
took a couple really bad sacks, uncharacteristic of him.
I think it's injury related.
Missed that throw at the end.
Yeah. I mean, again, later in the week conversations, but if you're the Bills, you're in.
I was just going to ask you that.
Would you just sit them down?
You play the Jets.
I mean, you might win without them. I didn't even think of that, but I mean.
And if you can't, I would have to look at it and see what are their chances to move up in the wild card pecking order. But is that much of a difference?
Is it much of a difference to you to 7?
New England
5,
or Jacksonville or Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
The worst you get 7.
You're not going to have a home game regardless.
You're not gonna have a home game probably no matter what.
The one angle of that is last game ever for Orchard Park. Is he going to want to be in street clothes?
Or does he play a series?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a fair question. It's a fair question to ask, though. Of maybe you should give Josh Allen a breather here since week 18.
All these teams are going to have interesting conversations like that. Do I really care about being the 5 seed versus the 6 seed?
Yes. Yes. And
the NFC, I might I want to go to the NFC, South champ. And
right.
I'm sure there's people I want to go to Pittsburgh
or Baltimore.
Yeah. But you don't know that answer. They're playing last, and Allen's got a foot. I can't have that guy compromised at all.
No, he's the one guy that you have to have ready to go if you're Buffalo. And then finally, Matt, last night, this is another one that we mentioned briefly, but
barn burner.
I mean, I think was right up there with the Rams-Seahawks Thursday nighter from a couple weeks ago as game of the year.
Yeah. If it's possible to feel better about both teams than I did going in, I feel better about both teams. I knew both defenses were bad.
Totally.
But The fact that the Bears could go toe-to-toe with that offense that never punts, and even without Kittle, is a machine right now. Purdy's
Unbelievable.
On fire.
Unbelievable.
Shanahan.
McCaffrey and Purdy were just outstanding.
Oh, it's been week after week lately.
They're, first play of the game, Purdy throws a pick 6 to Chicago, and it's like, all right, no worries, we're good, we're fine. It drives them right back down the field a couple minutes later and over and ties the game.
I heard a weird stat while watching the game that this is the first game in history that the score went 7-7, 14-7, 14-14, 21-14, 21-21, 28-21, 28-28, 35-20. Like just 7-7. I mean, that's what it felt like.
It did.
These guys are just going to score again.
It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of times last night, and you know this, like just with working the games and travel, being gone Saturday night and work the game Sunday, travel back home, all that. I've got 2 young kids. I'm just typically exhausted.
Yeah, and you're probably happy to see them. And
those Sunday night games, I'm looking for an excuse to go to bed.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, of course.
And like that whole game, I'm like, I can't go to bed. Like, this is great. Yeah. Like, I got to keep watching this.
Veg out and watch it with one eye
could
closed,
one of these teams like pull away, please, so I can go to bed?
No, down to the wire.
And if you're Chicago, man, Caleb Williams continue to kind of answer the bell and keep you in that game. Luther Burden might be blossoming into a star.
That's something I was talking to my buds about. I'm like, Burden and Loveland
outstanding
are going to be
Loveland too. Yeah,
phenomenal in this offense for years to come. And Williams too. I mean, I didn't want to talk about they miss those 2 guys too.
If I'm a Chicago fan, I'm still happy because I'm like, we're for real.
Oh, you're for real.
This might not be the Super Bowl year. The NFC's loaded and we're still young, but we are for real. We're going to be in this conversation now for a long time going forward. If you're the Niners, it's like, man, if we can get a little bit of luck in the injury department here in the playoffs, we might find ourselves in an NFC Championship game
Shanny,
again.
I trust, and maybe Warner comes back.
Yeah.
I still have my doubts about their defense, but
Same.
if you score every time you have the ball, what's the difference? I mean, they did that without Kittle, I mean, it's craziness. I mean, I really think New England, Jacksonville, Chicago should all be like, yeah, we're real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of my buddies texted me last night during the game, and he was like, "This Bears-Niners game reminds me of watching like Patrick Mahomes Texas Tech against Baker Mayfield's Oklahoma."
Yeah, right.
And like
right.
when they would meet up in the Big 12, and it would just be touchdown. Right. Just kind of who blinks and who has the ball last and who's able to survive at the end.
Last situation, right?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun last night, and what I thought was one of the more entertaining, one of the better games of the year. But you said it perfectly. If I'm both of those teams, I'm feeling good about where we're at right now. We have one more segment to go. I was like, wait, do we have 2 more segments? One more segment.
No.
One more segment to go on the other side. Couple final Steelers.
Game tonight matters all that much.
I don't think, because now that you mention it, the Rams can't win the division.
Right.
So
I'm sure they want to be the 5 seed.
They want to be the 5 seed and go to Tampa or Carolina.
Right.
But we'll look more at that stuff
right.
tomorrow and as the week rolls along and we get closer and closer to the conclusive Week 18 results and final week of the regular season coming up this weekend. After tonight's Monday Night Football action, will officially put Week 17 in the books. One more segment to go on the other side to close this thing down. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt, I'm laughing here. I'm kind of perusing back through tweets that we got during the game and after the game and all those things. And it is funny, a win versus a loss.
It's so harsh.
It is crazy. And I get it. I mean, I have not been the typical cheery, happy-go-lucky Wes that I have been
if they
here
score
today.
On the last play of the game, so many sins are forgotten.
If they score on the last play of the game, it's like you didn't have DK, you didn't have Calvin Austin, you didn't have TJ Watt.
Yeah.
Nothing went your way. You were on the road in a place where you've had some voodoo go against you. The wind was crazy. I do, and Kinger kind of touched on this. The place was like half empty when the game started. But by midway through the first quarter, it was probably 75-80% full.
Okay.
And I got to be honest, it was, I know we've talked about this before, and you worked for the organization for a year. I'm not trying to be nice to Browns fans in Cleveland here, But if they ever actually did have like a legit contending winning team, that would be maybe the hardest place to play in the league.
I don't know what they bang on that makes that crazy noise and that kind of stuff too. And they're definitely passionate and they handle the weather. And
nuts.
Party hard and right.
And like again, I think I had told you the exact moment, but I have it in my notes here. Fourth quarter, you open up with an 8-minute drive. Boz misses that field goal, no points. It's still 10-6. At that moment when Boz missed that field goal, that place came alive.
Really?
And I mean, it had been kind of building to that point.
Yeah. But they smelled blood.
It was like, okay, we're really going to win this.
Yeah.
And then every commercial break, the whole stadium is chanting, Myles Garrett,
really?
Clap, 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 clap.
And he's
like, they keep showing him on the Jumbotron, and he's like, like putting his hand up to his ear, and the place is just going nuts.
Okay.
I mean, like,
that's kind of cool.
If you're able to navigate that and get a win, it's like, hey, that sucked, and you should have been, it was way too close for comfort and all those things, but the sins are forgiven, as you say. Now it's the opposite. Now you got to go. Right. Now you got to go repent for your sins on Sunday night against your biggest rival.
What's going to happen is if they lose, how could they choke the season away? Blah 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 blah. But meanwhile, if they just can, happen to throw a touchdown pass on the last final play or two of the game, wow, what a great year! Look out at AFC. Here we come. Right.
John tweeted us and said this was. Let's see here. This was. Let me see exactly when this was because the timestamp will matter. This was Saturday night. Do you guys think that we should take a run at Malik Willis this offseason since the quarterback draft class won't be as good as we originally thought?
It probably follows me on Twitter, and there was deep into the game. I wrote, "I want Malik Willis in Pittsburgh."
Did you? Did you put that?
Yeah. I mean, that's cut to the chase.
We'll talk more about that.
And I got a lot of people like, "Oh, you're just chasing the fancy object." I'm like, I didn't just meet him today. I've been following this subject for a while. More on that later, folks.
I was so sick, and what would it have been?
Didn't just hear of him
in the winter and spring of 21. You know how sick I was about talking about Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett. That's all we talked about every day. Was Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett. That's all anybody talked about every day. And what's funny is I'm really excited to get to the point that we start talking about these draft prospects.
Yeah.
But by the time we get to April, I'll be sick about talking about Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore and Caleb Downs and Arvell Reese and it's very cyclical in that regard. John Harbaugh just spoke a few minutes ago. Said Tyler Huntley's strong performance will not affect who starts Sunday night in Pittsburgh. Quote, if Lamar is ready to go, he's playing, end quote, Jim Harbaugh said. Yeah. So not shocker there, but I think that was kind of
noteworthy to bring it up. But
yes, kind of noteworthy.
And it was a strong performance by Huntley.
It absolutely was. Yeah. Absolutely was.
I don't know how they ever got away from him. There was that stretch where he wasn't the backup. I'm like, he's custom made to be Baltimore's backup. Why did he ever drift away from that?
It reminds me, that's what
Remember he was on the Browns for a while? Yeah. Wasn't he a Dolphin for a little? Or,
that's what you want is and I don't mean this as disrespect, but you want your backup quarterback to be great value brand of your starting quarterback.
Yeah, right.
You don't want to have a Lamar Jackson and then a statue pocket passer.
Right. Like the Colts had Flacco and Anthony Richardson. I'm like, if one gets hurt, you got to just take the game plan and throw it apart.
Exactly right. It was kind of like when Dennis Dixon was in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? He was so much different than the other pieces and what they were doing. And some of that's very difficult. You could be the Buffalo Bills and you can say, okay, we want a great value, Walmart brand Lamar Jackson. Okay, well, good luck.
Trubisky kind of is,
but Trubisky kind of that's
right. He was a highly talented second overall pick. Didn't work out as much,
But yeah, if you if you've got an athletic, mobile guy, you don't want some more traditional pocket passer type as your backup,
some teams
and
don't see it that way,
and vice versa.
I'm very much in your camp. He seems like the perfect Lamar backup, and he showed it in this game.
Charlie Batch and Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, right.
Gronkowski,
Leftwich, all those guys.
Similar body type, similar skill set. Obviously not as good as the starter, but you don't have to completely throw out the game plan and drop something new when you put that guy in. Couple more things here for you, Matt. Jalen, success, you a lot of times like to reference EPA, success rate, some of these things. So you ready for this? Jalen Warren, on his 12 carries, 58% success rate.
That's really, really good.
Pat Freiermuth, 60% success rate. Now, that's a small sample size because it was only 3 catches, but 3 catches for 63 yards. So when I look at it, you're down DK Metcalf, and in a game like this, that was the biggest possible absence, and he is your biggest playmaker on an offense that is already kind of thin in that department.
Especially at the wide receiver position. But, like, you've still got playmakers that you need to I don't want to be in here, no matter what happens Sunday night at Acrisure Stadium against Baltimore. The one thing that will drive me nuts is if we're in here Monday, low on sleep and honked off and all that about a loss, and we're saying again that they failed to utilize their best players. Like, there's got to be more than 12 carries for Jaylen Warren, and there's got to be more than 3 catches for Pat Freiermuth, especially now in light of Darnell Washington having a broken arm. Yeah, you beat me to it on that. Like, I understand playing Washington over any of the other tight ends. He's
Totally.
a unique player.
Totally.
Nobody wants to play against him, all that good stuff. But when you lost him, now Freiermuth's snap spiked dramatically. I mean, he was playing before, but when Washington went out, he basically was a full-time player. And he has to be in this game, I'm sure. I mean, he's going to be a full-time player. But I need him featured more.
I do.
You know, right?
Carson,
maybe even feature Johnny Smith a smidge more. Feature Gainwell a smidge more as receivers.
Points in that game, Carson Schlesinger was like struggling to walk and get back in and out of the huddle.
I'm glad you brought that up.
And I don't know how it took us. How did it take us to the very end of the 2-hour show to mention that?
At the end of the first half, I'm like, why is he on the field?
One, why are the Browns leaving him out there?
Right.
Like,
Who's the linebacker coach?
That's the best rookie linebacker in football. Why are you risking something happening? He could barely get back to the huddle in certain plays. Why aren't you taking Pat Freiermuth and going right up the seam and attacking him?
Over and over and over.
Both of those things drove me nuts, from the Steelers' point and the Browns' point.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, why? And then he started the second half and, I don't know, maybe he shot it up or taped it up. He did something.
Yeah.
But still, I was like, this guy's still playing. Good for him, but attack the heck out of him. There was one play that I think it was his coverage responsibility where the Steelers had a successful play.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a ton of time at the end of the second half, but he was obviously massively compromised.
He was. He totally was.
And we saw what Freiermuth could do late in the game, too. We know what he can do.
We know what he can do.
it's one of those things.
Yeah.
He's not a mystery.
He's not a mystery. The only mystery is why his role has been so limited, except for in very limited spots, like in Cincinnati and a couple times
Splashes here and there.
Yeah. And then, I guess, too, while sticking on Carson Schlesinger, it reminded me of this. One thing we should probably mention today, in honor of our buddy Dale Lawley, guys are allowed to get better.
Yeah.
Devin Bush is a pretty good
now.
Pretty good player.
He's not like
pretty good player. He played pretty well yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
Hated to see that, but he played pretty well yesterday.
And he has all year. I mean, it's not like, oh, he's okay, he's a borderline starter. No, like he's the answer next to Schlesinger.
That's a really good tandem.
Yeah, they're a really good tandem.
Could be
now,
one of the better tandem. If Schlesinger takes that sophomore step forward,
yeah, they're set at linebacker.
They could be one of the better tandems.
I don't know Bush's contract situation.
Yeah, that's a good.
I don't know if they signed a 1-year deal.
That's a good point.
He's going to be a starter from now on.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
He's a good player now.
100%.
And good for him. You know, I don't think the Steelers did him wrong or anything. I mean, he wasn't good here.
Correct. Here you go, Matt. Kind of final one to drive this home. This is from Jerry Dulac. DK Metcalf in the Steelers win in Baltimore a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
DK Metcalf, 7 catches, 148 yards, including 52-yard reception, 41-yard reception in each half. In the win against the Browns, 23-9, earlier in the season, October 12th was that day. He had 3 separate catches of 25 or more yards, 1 that went for a touchdown.
Yeah.
If you thought having him, not having him in Cleveland was harmful, well, guess what? That's going to be the case once again here against Baltimore. You've got to find a way to overcome. And I think, again, getting back to the Mike Pursuta, this sliver of optimism as it relates for Sunday, is now the film's out there and how teams are going to defend you.
Oh, yeah. There's not a lot of mystery.
There's not a lot of mystery in the game planning for this, but you have got to find ways to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. You need more Muth. You need more Warren. Jonnu Smith, too, like you mentioned, because you can't just run it back and think that you're kind of, trio of veteran wide receivers and MVS, Thielen, and Scotty Miller, and the young, kind of unproven, still trying to hop on the moving train guy and Roman Wilson. You can't, those dogs are not going to change their spots by Sunday night.
They may make more plays for you. They may have better games, but you can't count on them.
You need to change your spots from a schematic and play calling perspective more so.
You learn some lessons, hopefully.
That's
clearly.
That's what I'm hoping.
Now, I don't mean to harp on this, but Jerry put out those stats against division rivals, and Metcalf did a stupid thing interacting with a fan.
Oh, yeah. It's nobody's fault other than Metcalf's that he's not out there.
Yeah.
Be clear about that.
Exactly. Right. Like, he's hurting the team.
Yes. And boy, did that really that suspension could have gone one of two ways, where you take care of business against a bad Browns team and it's an afterthought. No one even really thinks about it.
5 years from now, no one even brings it up.
Or it ends up, these last two games go south and it becomes a major catalyst moment in that.
That's a big hurdle to get over. Yeah.
Yes.
And so far, you didn't get over the first hurdle.
No, you did not. Now you've got one more opportunity to do so. Matt, good conversation today.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it as always. As much as I wasn't looking forward to it, you did make it a little more palatable. Maybe that should have been a new thing. Maybe every Monday that the Steelers lost a game, we should have came in here wearing the same outfit, so we could have had a little chuckle and lighten the mood. But thanks to
Teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work, baby. Thanks to Rob King for joining us. Thanks to Nathan for producing TV on the video side of things. Mr. TV for keeping us handsome on YouTube as always. How about TV yesterday down there on the sidelines in Cleveland? Our dude I was sending you pictures. I was scoping pictures out from him, from me up in the booth. I'm all dry, and I mean, the windows are open, so it's a little chilly, but I'm not feeling the wind and the rain.
Battle, yeah.
TV is down there fighting for his life in those elements, and I'm sending pictures. I'm like zooming in all the way on my camera and taking pictures of him and sending it to him and Matt. Big thanks to TV for today, but also for big tip of the cap for him for battling the elements yesterday there at Huntington Bank Field. We'll be back tomorrow. More on some Tuesday rewatch, Tuesday rewind thoughts, and more on Steelers and Ravens as we look ahead through the week. We'll also take a look at some playoff scenarios and draft scenarios and some things like that as all of that is coming more and more into focus. But that will do it for us for today. For Matt Williamson, I'm Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. You know where to find us as always. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. It's Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.